was thinking how you were able to figure out, after you figured out, okay, yoga is going to be my full-time focus right now for my career. You took it one step further, but you knew that kind of this was your calling, right? I think a lot of people might make that decision and say, okay, I'm going to quit my regular 9 to 5 job, but now what? How do I find my passion, right? How do I find the thing that makes me alive every single day, that wants me to get out of bed and get started and connect with people or whatever it is? I think it's hard to discover, and a lot of people get discouraged with that. And once you find it, then it's a whole other story about how you actually manifest it, right? And make it a reality. But I'm asking you because I also went through a couple years of trying to figure out what is it, what is my passion, and I think that it's not as easy as a 1, 2, 3 go, right? And I think everybody has a very different perspective on that. So I just wanted to hear your thoughts about what would be your advice if somebody came to you and said, "How did you do it? How did you find what makes you and alive?"
Yeah. Okay. So here's the funny thing. I didn't know that yoga was going to be my calling. I knew I loved practicing it, but actually when I was in yoga teacher training, they kept asking me many times if I want to be a teacher, saying, you should be a teacher. You're good at being a teacher. Be a teacher. Teach for us. And I was like, no, I don't want to teach yoga. Like, I didn't know that I liked teaching yoga until I knew that I liked teaching yoga. And then once I knew that I liked doing that, I just kind of kept going towards that path. And what the aha moment for teaching yoga was actually my practicum. So like graduating from YTT, you have to teach a demo class and then they graduate you. Well, in that practicum, it wasn't until I put my hand on a student to give them an assist and I felt how the breath shifted and the body shifted that I was like, whoa, I felt like like that feeling when you get choked up and it's not because you're sad. It's not because you want to cry because you're so distraught, but you're just like, you feel this kind of connection in your heart and it starts bringing up this emotion where you want to cry. Well, I felt that. And so there's a saying that it's like when you cry during your practice, it's your dharma is singing, your purpose is being rung, right? The purpose is being ringing loud and clear. Well, every time that I felt this kind of pull, that's kind of what allows me to dive in a little bit deeper. And I don't do any heavy research. I just kind of keep going and I'm like, okay, I like to teach yoga. I'm going to announce on Facebook that I'm holding free classes in the clubhouse or like whatever community center or the free park. And I would just like look for opportunities to keep doing that. And it didn't matter if I was making money or wasn't making money. I just kept exploring it because it felt good. And then with content, even the camera, I've actually always hated being in front of a camera. It's the weirdest thing that it's what I do now. And I hate writing too. Like you ask high school me, hated cameras, hated writing, hated photos.
And look at you now. Look at you now.
It's very strange. So it's not that we know what we want. It's that we have to give ourselves a chance to explore what we don't know. And then we have to give ourselves a chance to see if there is something that we really enjoy in that moment. I never thought I would like content. I never thought I would like photos. I had a photo shoot and then I all of a sudden realized like, whoa, that's me. I look like that. Like, no, that's not me, right? Like we can go into a whole nother tangent about self-worth, body image issues, all that stuff. But like, it was the first time that I actually felt beautiful in a photo. And that led me into wanting more photos. And then that led me into wanting to take my own photos and then content creation and the world of photography. So I always tell this to a prospective client because I understand that it's like you just sometimes don't know. What the exercise I usually have them do is first I ask them, what do they really enjoy? Like if they could have that big vision, close their eyes, go on a vision quest, and it's like that dream life, what is it that they paint out? And then I ask them, what is it that you really like of that, right? Like, so if they like family, maybe they like art, maybe they like being in nature. These are the aspects that you really want. So for me, all I knew about my career path was I wanted to help people. I wanted to make an impact. I had this like whole idea of like legacy. For some reason, death freaks me out, and I'm always thinking about like, how do I leave a legacy?
Yeah.
So I had that as a kid. And then the second thing I knew from my years of studying, I didn't want to be in a desk job. I didn't want to be stuck to a desk or stuck indoors. So these were the two things. And all throughout my career, my journey of pursuing medicine and even like a business job, my biggest fear was like to be stuck inside at a cubicle, like working a 9 to 5, and then feeling like the drone of it. So I knew for a fact that that was not what I wanted. I wanted the flexibility of waking up whenever, of moving around all day, of being able to travel and being able to, I used to have like going into having these like extravagant meetings with clientele all over the world, right? Like for business meetings or something. And it manifests. If you know that those are the aspects that you want in life, it ends up coming out in so many different forms. So then you just let yourself explore what you really do love. I use one client, for example. She loves connecting. She loves community. She just wants to be around people and have all of these experiences all day, every day. And she was like, I don't know like what my expertise is. Is it teaching yoga? Is it like doing something else? I don't know. Is it having a digital course? Is it having an app? But and then in the end, like, what's your big vision? She's like, I mean, I would love to have a like multiple venues, you know. It's like, let's do that.
And that's when it comes out. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you just kind of keep exploring what your heart really calls for. And you take any little action, even if you have to invest your time and energy for free in the beginning to move towards it. And then it just kind of unfolds. Like you yourself, you're doing this podcast. I'm sure there is more threads to come from all of
that. Yeah, no, you're right. And I can't wait to see all that unfold. But I myself, I'm a huge advocate for manifesting. And I really think that when you are mindful throughout your journey and you're aware of where you are in the space and what's happening around you, that's when you're able to take advantage of all the opportunities that come your way too. Because you spoke about, there's things that happen and you decide to go with those and take the risk and just do it or not. And these are the moments that are going to show you that next step and show you the path even more clearly every time. It's like you're walking into a tunnel and it becomes brighter and brighter.
Yeah. Right? And here's an analogy that for any skeptics listening about like manifestation or all the crystal world or anything, I used to be one, so I get it. But it's like in yoga, we say that when you practice, it's really thinking about like the sushumna, your chakras. There's a lot of energetic work beneath just the physical postures. So when it's the same thing with the practice of manifestation, when you allow yourself to go into the practices of energy and you're opening your channels, it's opening your receptivity to all of these invisible threads of opportunity. So nowadays it's kind of like you can call them downloads, you can call them like little tingles, like kind of intuitive vibes that you get, whatever you want to call it. You can call it the Holy Spirit telling you something, right? But it's like when you really start to open, or you've got your antennas up, then you can really start to see like, oh, this is like an opportunity here. Oh, I could try this. Oh, maybe I'll do that. Oh my God, that person might be a good connection. I should try and reach out to them. Right? It's like all of these downloads start to come and they start to roll into a snowball. So I guess one of my downloads was just announcing on Facebook, hey guys, for yoga, anyone want to come?
Yeah, just like that. Yeah, being vulnerable at that moment and not being afraid of rejection. I think that's also very important. I think people are afraid to connect because they're afraid of rejection, or they're afraid that people might not accept them for who they are or whatever it is. And for example, like me and you, right? We hadn't connected for so many years, but I was vulnerable, whatever you want to call it. I took the risk to reach out. I know you're probably really busy and like we haven't talked for so long. And I said, you know what? I'm going to reach out to her. Why not? And whatever happens, right? And you didn't reject it. So
Yeah.
I win.
And like talking about rejection, I still think about that every day, even more so now because nowadays there's so many bigger risks that we're taking in reaching out to people. But my question I always come back to every time I recognize this fear is coming up is, what's the worst that can happen? They say no, and I feel bad for like an hour. But then I'll move on, right? I'll find someone else. If it's not a fit with them, it wasn't meant to be, and then something else will come. But the action of just like facing that little rejection one step at a time, it builds that muscle to be and just stronger against rejection each time.
That's so true. But what would you say about people getting disappointed because there's times that you keep trying, like you get rejected and then you try again, and then you try again. Do you really think it's like it's not meant to be, and you need to move on and connect with people that also want to connect with you, and are open for that connection and the next step? Like there's business and there's personal relationships, so sometimes it's hard to distinguish that because there's a lot of energies because we're humans, right? We're not robots. So I think it gets complicated, and sometimes I don't know what's best to understand that this is it. You asked once, or you try to connect with that person and you got rejected and say that's it, or do you keep trying because maybe it wasn't a good time or it wasn't.
I believe that if they flat out reject you and say no, right, then it is about just moving on. But if it's kind of like what I call the ghost behavior, where they just don't respond and they ignore, I don't take that as much of a rejection as much as I take it as a maybe. I don't know. Then it's about not feeling the need to push, but being present. So someone who just like ghosts, right? The push tactic is to constantly be in there, to constantly be like, where are you? Why are you ghost? It's like that's the push method. That's one way of going at it. But then the other method is the simply present method, right? Like I believe that whenever you reach out, you want to create a way to reach out so that you've kept an impression. You've dropped an impression, whether that is in a message, in an email, in some form of communication that can be brought back up into memory. So you drop your impression, and that's the first presence. And then maybe you're like, oh, give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they've just been busy. You resurface that presence back up with another message until they say like, no, stop bothering me, get out of my it's really a rejection, It's just kind of like, oh, maybe they saw it, maybe they forgot, maybe they got it. Like for me, I have 15. This is really bad. I need someone to manage my emails. Anyone good at that? Let me know. I have 15,790 emails in my inbox.
And I thought that was bad.
No, I don't even know like where to go and like where to start. It's like I have thousands of emails to sort through each day, and sometimes I see something and it's really interesting, but I'm doing something else. I'm multitasking, and then I forget to respond to it, and then it resurfaces, and then I'm like, oh yeah, that, and then I I forget. And maybe it's because it's not a huge priority on my mind, but it's not really a rejection either. It's just sure, maybe, but not right now, right?
No, this is really good point. I think. No, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say my biggest like gratitude to people is when they understand that it's just them being present is like the support that is just invaluable, right? Just being present, being support.
Yeah, no, it's tough because we all get so busy.
Yeah.
Every day we're caught up with our own to-do lists, and then all of a sudden somebody else comes in the picture and like they want your attention or your time, and it's really hard to balance that. And like you said, sometimes it's not no, but it's like you don't even know where to start or if it's the good time now. But
Yeah.
it's hard. I think it all goes down to communication, right? I think emails for me too, I don't feel the urgency sometimes to respond to.
Yeah.
I think with texts and phone calls, that's where I feel that I have to, okay, maybe not instantly, but try to be responsive. But at the same time, it's like, how are you going to set boundaries to be able to also take care of yourself and take time away from your phone and be present and connect to your own self? So it's
Yeah.
always about finding that balance.
It is. And it's just like, um, I'm laughing because I think my friends and my family think that I'm on my phone 24/7 because of what I do, right? I'm on Instagram, I'm storing, I'm creating content, I'm answering emails, and they'll always be, and I'm the worst at responding to messages just because I have to triage my responses. Otherwise, I'll spend 24 hours just answering and texting back and writing emails. But it's the way I set boundaries is I just kind of I put my phone away. And unless it's something that I can take action on right away and it's a high priority, there's like a triage system. I just like prioritize high, medium, low, right? And then I circle back. But even to answer back a potential email that might be a fit, but might not be a fit, it takes energy. So it's kind of just, I guess I follow the rule of gut instinct, right? Like if my gut reads an email and I'm like, yes, this is something, that I respond right away, or I'll delegate and I'll send it off to where it needs to be handled by someone else. And and then the ones that I don't get to, if the opportunity is lost, then I just believe that it's like divine timing. It wasn't meant to happen now, but maybe it'll like surface later. So they might email me next year, or I might actually even, this is why I don't delete, this is why I have 15,000 emails, because I don't delete stuff. But if I search back, like I can search back a retreat venue from 2015, 16, and I can pull it up. And then I'll be like, are you still working with this venue? And I might restart that conversation. That's why I always say it's important to just leave a lasting impression of presence. And then from there, someone might reach out back to you 2 years from now, 3 years from now. Who knows?
Yeah.
No.
That's so true about connections. Yeah.
You've done your job to reach out and say, hey, I'm here. I do this. And then
yeah, no, you're right. You never realize when you meet somebody how it could develop years from that moment. And
yeah.
it's so valuable and precious, and like I don't think we really understand that, but that's probably a good thing because we're so present in that connection.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that's what it should be. You shouldn't be thinking like, oh yeah, this person is gonna come handy one day. Like that's not a genuine relationship, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh,
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And going back to genuine, actually, because the topic of our episode today is how to be more authentic and how to find your authentic self. I want to go back to that and ask you, I'm sure there were moments that you felt discouraged, especially during your journey to switch careers, and everybody telling you like maybe some negative things and not trusting that this is going to go well. How were you able to always stick to your values and say, I know that I am right and I need to stick in that path, and I can't let anybody's opinions affect that. Like I think it's a tough thing to do, and I felt this way in the past myself too. Whenever like I would set goals I felt like maybe my peers were not in the same boat, so they would like go and enjoy themselves, and I would work hard to to do what I need to do, and and that's the same with being in different relationships where people follow a specific way of doing things. So let's say you're like in a friendship, right? And people are all about doing this in a specific way or wearing that or it how do you find the energy and courage to say I have to be myself no matter what?
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's a tough one.
It's a
And
tough one because I think what
yeah.
I'll say is this whole journey has, since the years of medicine, since I started even being more reflective and introspective since the age of 17, it's been a journey, an ongoing journey of finding that authenticity and living by it. So I've had a lot of learnings about what is aligned, what isn't aligned, what is me, what isn't me. And I think that's kind of what has given me such a more of a strong sense of self. I don't want to say that I'm like already there because I think it's always an ongoing thing, right? But every time there's a question of, am I being authentic? Is this really aligned with me? That's kind of what brings me back into like being a stand for my roots. So as I say, there's always going to be opportunities and invisible threads, and those threads are going to lead you down roads that are not comfortable, that are new. And I say go down them because like how else will you know, right? But once you go down those roads, you're going to have learnings and you're going to come back and ask yourself, okay, what do I take and what do I leave? What is me? What isn't me? And that's what it's been this whole time. So to say that I've been a strong stance, it's kind of just I've been very strongly reflective. I've always just asked myself when something didn't feel aligned, I asked myself why it didn't feel aligned. I asked myself why I was getting angry, why I got triggered, why I got sad, why I was happy, why I wasn't happy. I just kept reflecting on what actions I was taking and where it was leading me and if that worked or not. And I will tell you that many, many, many times, I feel like one of my coaches and who does astrology reading, they said that my chart has so much death and rebirth in it. And I have to say, I feel like a snake that's constantly shedding skin and layers of skin. It's just so much death, rebirth, but it's always growing into something I think I like.
Yeah, for me I call it like realizations. Like, oh, I had like a realization moment. And I love that. For me it happens like when I read a book and like I interpret it in one way and I'm like, whoa, wait. So the way I was feeling when this happened, it's because of this. Or that means that I'm probably like that. It's like, whoa.
Yeah. It's knowledge, right? Knowledge leads to a lot of epiphanies and realizations. And knowledge doesn't have to come in the form of just someone telling you. It can just come from those self epiphanies.
Yeah.
Shadow epiphanies. I have a lot of those.
Yeah, epiphanies. Yeah. Yeah. So it's really not even about, it's not that you really know who you are and you're saying this is how I'm always going to be, but it's a matter of being open to discovering who you really are, right?
Yeah, it's a constant exploration. I think you have to sometimes, there's a saying in the yoga teacher world that we take on the voices of our teachers initially, and you'll see it. One person will be in this training, and then out of the training, they'll sound like that teacher. But it's part of the journey, right? They take on the learnings, and we have to learn how to crawl, and then eventually we add our own like sway, our own walk, our own hairdo, whatever it is, non-hairdo, shaved head, whatever. It's like I remember I was told one thing when I was at the very beginning of growing my platform into monetization. Someone had told me that I should create content like this. And then another person told me I should create content like that. And then I was watching other people that created content like this. And I was like, okay, I will do it. I will do it all because they're telling me that this way is the right way. And so I took on their advice and I did it. And then I was like, but this isn't me. So then I come back. And that's the integration portion, right? So first you just like implement and then you get to integrate it. You get to decide like what to keep and what not to keep. But at the end, you have all the insight in the world because now you've experienced everything firsthand. You yourself, your old ways, them, their new ways. And then it becomes this brand new creation that is just you and your way.
Yeah, I think it's about being inspired by all those people around you, or whatever those people were asking you to do that you could have taken it as like an inspiration, but in the end, you always have to put your own touch into things to really make it unique. And I think you're really good at doing that.
Oh, I try. That's my idea of it.
But going back to inspiration, I wanted to ask you, what was one of your most inspiring trips? Like you said, you started traveling. Your first one was in Barcelona, right? And you've done a lot since then. What was one moment that you remember that was really mind blowing for you? If you can come up with that exact moment, and when it was, where it was, give us all the details.
Oh my goodness, this one's a hard one.
I know, you've done a lot.
Yeah, I can't really narrow down one. They were all so memorable and they all feel like yesterday. That's like the thing.
That's the great thing with traveling, the memories you take from it.
They're so powerful. They're like the most vivid memories. I'm always sleep deprived when I'm traveling, but still, it's like, it's just the most lively time. I think the most, oh my gosh. Well, the one on my mind right now that comes most closely is probably Croatia, just because I came back from there most recently.
Okay, fair enough.
But I think like if we said like the most profound trip, Barcelona would definitely be the hands down the one because that was the first one. But I would say Greece is like my second highest.
Yes,
yes, right. Oh, Greece is probably my favorite destination to bring people to as well. I have a lot of favorite destinations. I love Europe altogether, but I think Greece was the first trip that I was just so blown away by the beauty of it. And just also jumping around island to island, it felt like you were visiting like so many different places at once.
There's so much beauty.
Yeah, so much. And I think that might have been my first retreat that I led as well. So it was the first time that I had brought a group of people to somewhere other than the US. And it was just so much fun. And I was just like, I want to do this all the time.
Yeah. Do you remember where exactly in Greece the retreat was?
We went to Amorgos.
Nice.
And I've learned a lot about like hosting after that. I think I prefer more like intimate villa-based places, but it was great. It was just like 5-star experience. The ferry experience of getting to the island was beautiful after you learn what ferry to take. I think it's called Blue Star. Take Blue Star, it's bigger. So take the small ones. And yeah, everything about that trip was just magical. Even before we led the retreat, I was there with who I consider my sister, Connie. We grew up together, and we were exploring. I think there was Naxos. We were in Athens. There was also, did we go to Mykonos? I don't remember. I just love everything about it. I just love Greece.
I know. I miss the food there, the people, and the scenery so much. but I'm going to be there in 10 days.
Okay, I might have to jump on that with you. Yeah. Oh, I love the shopping there too. I have to say the shopping there.
Yeah, I know.
I try to buy all my stuff overseas when
Honestly,
I like dresses.
yeah, I feel like I enjoy going shopping there so much more. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
an experience.
I know.
I want to go there for my honeymoon with my fiance.
Yeah.
He's like, you've been there a million times. I'm like, it's okay.
It doesn't matter. I love it. Oh, this is so great. I'm so glad we connected. I feel like there's so much more that we can talk about. I love having a deep conversation with you.
Me too.
So thank you so much. This was so great, such deep conversation, and I can't wait to have you on the show again to talk more. But for anybody that wants to reach out and maybe ask for your advice for connecting with you into furthering the career, what would be their best way to contact you?
I would say the best way, first, you can try Instagram. You can slide into DM. If it is about business, you can directly get into the Own Life Business Instagram. That one has somebody on the DMs to answer immediately and then just reconnect you with me. Or you can also use email. I know there's a lot of emails in my inbox, but if it doesn't get responded to, just be present and resend another one to resurface it back up. It does eventually get responded to.
There you go. Be present and persistent. She'll get back to you.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Sonia, for having me on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure just connecting and talking about all the fun stuff. So,
oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
No one said that finding your passion and staying authentic is easy. There is a ton of distractions out there, from comparing yourself with others to insecurities and judgment. What I have learned throughout my life is that you will never be able to truly show your light or create your own following if you will not unfold all the true parts of the self. I truly thank Janice for coming to the show and sharing her journey with us. It is really important to understand that we're not alone in this and to not get discouraged. I really appreciate her and her passion to build her own legacy and how she was able to manifest it. If you would like to share your own story on being authentic and how that helped you in your own life, please share your story at namastecitylife@gmail.com for a chance to be featured in our blog and inspire others. To learn more about Namaste City and this podcast, please visit namastecitylife.com and feel free to drop us a message by visiting the Contact Us page. You can follow Namaste City on Instagram or Facebook, or even YouTube. If you have not already done so, please go to Apple Podcasts and subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. Thanks for listening to No More Distractions by Namaste City, hosted by me, Sonia. Today's episode guest was Janice Liu from All Life Living. You can connect through her personal Instagram account at Janice Liu and also her website at omlifeliving.com. The audio production was done by TechBeats at TechBeats Studio.